Yeah, so Bioware is out there, very happy about it. Has been, I have to say, this film has a long journey behind it, right? There was of course, we first had to produce it, which is a long journey. Then it was a festival journey, and this is now the online release. So this is always a bit of a special moment because, of course, online you get the most eyeballs, right?
I think there were just so many years us waiting to be able to release it, right? And when you finish something, of course, you want as many people as possible to actually watch it.
And we put quite some work into the release, which was a lot of work the last couple of weeks, but we are very happy how everything went. And now it's exciting times to see how people react to the movie. We always love to hear feedback, and this film is has a couple of different variations of how to look at it, right? Or many, how to understand it, what's the message, what's behind the film. So for this film in particular, it's very exciting to see what people what they put into it in a way, right? What they read in it. So we're really looking forward to seeing, getting those comments and seeing the reactions.
So yeah, we're super excited. We're super excited to see how people react, what they think about it, right? So because there are so many ways to look at this piece, and just from our history, I think that has always been the most exciting point in creating stuff like this, is getting it out there. So yeah, it's exciting.
What we learned in a couple of other instances is okay, if you just drop something out there, doesn't matter what quality it has, there's a high chance that nobody ever sees it, or almost nobody, besides your immediate followers. So this is the simple reason why the release of a short film these days needs a campaign, because you need to guide the audience towards the film, make them aware of it so they can watch it. That's the simple reason why Bioware needs a campaign.
I truly believe that's why we started with it at all, right? But I think there are a couple of really interesting learnings from that, and we definitely had tons of fun. And I think it was just really interesting thought to try and market something that's our own. So we didn't have any limits. We could go wherever we wanted. So I think that was just a really, really fun exercise to try and find out what we can come up with if we don't have someone that tells us what we can and what we can't do. So that was great.
The creative idea came up, okay, let's act for a couple of weeks as if we would be a robot company. Everybody knows Boston Dynamics as a robot company, right? That's where the name Kreuzberg Dynamics comes from. We are based in Kreuzberg. And basically, this is okay, when we had this idea first, but in terms of campaign, we thought exactly as Pitt said before, okay, how can we give more more prequel, more pre-story to those robots, basically. We immediately loved it because we have, I think, in all of our creative work, over the last two decades, we have always loved fake campaigns in a way, right? So doing we have so many thoughts about okay, we could because we come from animation with effects, right? So we can create images that look like something exists, but it doesn't exist. So this is something we always had fun with creatively. So we thought, okay, this is great. We can have lots of fun with it. And that's exactly one of the main reasons, right? So, okay, we put all the work in the short film. We have the short film. We have to release it, or we want to release it, and we want people to watch it. So how can we have the most fun of getting people to watch it? And this was the core idea. So from the very beginning, we thought okay, this is a very risky idea. So the chances that this goes nowhere, that this fails, have been very high. But it really was the driving factor is, okay, this is fun, so let's have fun, let's do it. And it was great fun. So yeah, very happy that we did it that way. I'm sure we're going to get into this. There have been a couple of things that in the reality we live in at the moment, right? With everything happening in terms of let's say, fake news, everything related here to generative AI, what can we as an audience believe and not believe? We pulled back a little bit on our original plan because we know it's a very sensitive topic at the moment. But we still, I think we found a great way of doing it. Yeah, in the end, as said, it was just really fun to do that campaign.
This whole project, it was initiated 7 years ago, right? And even though like the main characters, they are robots, like the film itself, it isn't about technology or robots, right? But when we started thinking about the campaign, like robots like suddenly started to be like the hottest shit around. Like everyone, like nowadays also, like everyone is talking about robot, like humanoid robots that can like do your dishes and, you know, iron your underwear, stuff like that. So it just felt like a perfect match to, you know, pick up this like very distinct aesthetics that like contemporary robot companies they have, right? So it's very masculine. It's like very, you know, like super techy and super nerdy and stuff like that. And it's just like it felt perfect to kind of go into this world and create this like fake backstory to where do those like robots come from that, you know, have this journey in this motel. So yeah, I think it just like it's like it just felt like supernatural. Of course, like there was a risk that it would fail. I think we do have an audience, a small but fine audience, and the risk was just that they like everyone would like ask themselves, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why are they only talking about robots now? We really like, I think we just had to make sure that, you know, it was kind of still us, but we could also like tell the story at the same time.
I think it's a very good point you made there about like because that's exactly the important thing. Like Bybear itself is not about technology, right? I mean, there's one way to look at the film where you can see it's about technology, but actually it's a very human story in there, right? Like it's just the robots are just the vehicle to tell that story differently in a way. But it's exactly that, like this, I think making this contrast as big as possible, right? Okay, there's a human story we are telling, but in the beginning, in the setup, in the prequel, we are going as like a tech and bro-ish as possible, right? And like I think in this contrast, this is like where all the fun is in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like even play with the emotion, the journey a bit more there. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it fit the story arc of the film so good, like going from something, you know, that might like feel cold and programmed kind of to something that's like really human. So like, what is this like being human?
I think one important aspect to still everybody who makes short films should consider is like a festival run is really important, because film is a medium that is best enjoyed not on a cell phone, not on a small computer screen, but in a cinema, right? Like it is, if you like being a filmmaker, you want people, you watch your film in the cinema, right? So a festival circle is a fantastic way to get people to watch the film in a proper setting on a big screen with beautiful audio, right? We are creating our films for that experience. So I think that is a really important one. But as said before, like the online audience is the biggest one, right? So it's important there. To release it there, I think it is like with all things in life, right? If you put energy into something, energy gets back at you, right? So this is the most important thing, is like, okay, in the release is not about making the film itself, because you have put already all your energy into making the film. So that will give energy back. But like at the release itself, you also need to put energy into it to get that energy back. And that's exactly why it's important to like not just uploading something is not giving energy anymore. So that's why you just need to do a bit more.
When we create a short film, it's not encapsulated in itself, but we can expand it, right? There's so many like layers of storytelling in there that can like easily, you know, just like transfer and like create a whole universe of things. There's so much meaning in it, so we can easily tell more of a story that we already created. What are the components that we think makes this interesting for people, so they like are kind of onboarded and then like ultimately watch the film? Is like stuff we would also have loved to see, right? So in this case, it's we're kind of trawling a current trend, like, you know, the whole robotics thing. We're kind of, you know, making some fun of it. And then people always love a good mystery as well, right? So I mean, people love to discuss We had it before with Shark in the Park, where people discussed endlessly like if this was a real thing or not. So what does it really come down to is really just like a piece of entertainment. Like people want to be entertained.
Creating short films has quite a tradition at our studio. So this is kind of where we come from in a way. So we have started when we met 20 and a couple of years ago. This is the first thing we did. Like at the university, we studied where we studied animation. That is like a kind of like we did not get classes of how to do things or anything, right? Basically, they gave us computers and they said, okay, no, make films, right? That's how it started. And this is the first thing we did 20 years ago. Okay, making a short film. And our basically everything we are doing today is coming from that, right? Those are the roots of where we started. And so creating a short film for us up to this day is still something very special. It comes with lots of challenges, but still at the same time it is very rewarding. And because the meaning here is when we've been at university, right, we could fully focus on creating short films, our creative expression, so now that we are running a full studio with more than 40 people, right, there's another layer on top of it, which is economic realities, right? So how do you even how do you get a short film made? How do you finance it? How do you get the time to make it? But it is something that because since we are coming from that traditionally, it is something that we just want to make possible, and that's also was the driving factor behind ByBear. And I think that is the mixture of what we do, right? Because we do a very high-end CGI, so just very simply put, high-end CGI is very expensive to create. You need a lot of very talented artists to create something of high quality. And I think short films are the format that allow us to create a coherent piece in our aesthetics. I think our ambition, right, is also to do this in longer formats and create full films and everything. But as said, this is once again another beast. So we are taking our steps there. But in the end, it is our expressing our creative ideas and creating it in the aesthetics that we love. So that's why we do it.
So why are we creating short films at Woodblock? So we're not talking specifically about short film, right? It's I think it could be anything. What we do is at least that's the way I like to look at it. We create art, and short film is just, it probably feels like the easiest way for us to really put work out there that really has a meaning. And I think it's really just it's super intuitive, right? Where does art come from? It's something that lives inside of us. And I guess why we started with all of this, learning how to create images with computers, is that there is this thing inside of us that gets us to create images that don't exist in reality. I think there's just something in us we see and we want to bring it to life. So it's very intrinsic thing for us to create our own content, create our own art, and short film, I think it's just the best fitting medium at this point for us.
It's an interesting topic, correlation between short films and art and let's say the business side of things is a very interesting topic because we have spent a lot of energy in finding out what this is all about, and I think we can come to the conclusion basically. So very simple put, the first thing is you cannot make money with a short film. Nobody can because there's no distribution mechanisms to make real money with it, right? Of course, you can win an award here, you can get a little bit of sales fees here, but this is not a significant money especially for the studio. And so there's no direct economic incentive of making a short film. So I think that's clear. But there's another aspect to it. It is that there is incredible amount of value if we express our own creative vision. because like this is the way for the people we collaborate with, that we do projects with together, right? That they find us and get to us because they have interest in our creative vision. So only if we put our creative vision out there, we will bring the right projects into the studio. So that is the main reason why we are doing like short films, because it shows what we want to do. Actually, it's a big investment we are doing. So we have to put lots of money into those short films, but it is crucial for our business to stay at the level where we are and where we want to be, because like everything is driven by our vision, basically.
I think it has like several aspects, which are at least like I think clearly reflected in the work we do. So there's the creative side of things, right? So what do you do? Like what kind of stories do you want to tell? And then there's like the way you tell them, and there's like there's this aspect of style, right? And then there's this aspect of production quality, which definitely means a lot to us, right? Like we're real like animation nerds, and I think it can be seen in our work that we really want to put out high-end animation. So it's kind of a mix of those things, right? Like the creative has to be right, and the quality has to be right, just so that we would be able to really reach the audience we want to reach, right? And I think the like stuff like that is really hard to measure, right? Because there's like no like scale for that kind of stuff. But what I always think is like the best measure to really identify if something is right in terms of mastery is like if we like it, like if we are into the stuff that we create. I think that's like the first indication of will something be successful. And that also like it's all like it also feeds like into the economic aspects as well, right? Because I think I don't know, it might sound a bit weird, but I think the best way to bring in money while creating something is to not think about it. So I like my approach definitely always is to not try to assume what will be successful and like have some return on your investment, but like truly like trust your instincts. And coming back to the whole mastery thing, I think it's really something that like satisfies like our needs for like creative storytelling, and also like the amount of quality that has to be reflected in the work.
I think it's a very interesting point you're making about like this like if we like it, right? Like about mastery, like because I mean it sounds a bit weird in the beginning, right? But it is something that we have like it is something that comes back to confidence in a way, right? And this like I think is one of the most important like journeys that everybody has, is like operating in full confidence about what to do, right? And I think there's something like if I just look at my journey there, like at some point I just accepted, if it feels right in the stomach, right? Like if I look at it and the first feeling I have in my stomach, that can be trusted in the process, right? And so if this goes for everything, this goes for the smallest detail in animation, but it also goes on the full end product. Like so if it feels good to us, then we can kind of already assume it is good, right? There's a very interesting point to get to that level of confidence, to trust that in a way, because it's a 20-year journey that we had there behind us, right? So,
but still, of course, like in many cases we don't, right? Because there's always this sense of, is it good enough? Like, is it, is it entertaining enough? I think that's like every artist like knows about that kind of stuff. But yeah, in general, I don't have like any data for this, but I'm pretty sure a good chunk of the stuff that's out there that's really successful started with something that was truly like a passion project, right? And not something that, was like super opportunistic in terms of like what could people like, but it's more about like, people want to bring the universe that lives inside of them to the audience.
It's this Rick Rubin guy who very famously lives by that principle, right? Like he's only creating for himself and not for the audience, and that's like where it comes from. It's a good principle, I think.
If there's I think if there's one thing that we're really dreaming of, then it is really owning our work, right? So we want to be in control about like the stuff we create, like what kind of content do we create, what kind of stories do we tell, in what kind of style do we create it, and what's the level of quality we want to go for. And then that kind of implies that it is like intellectually really our thing. So we own the rights. It's really our work. We can do with it whatever we want, and we can like go with it wherever we want. So I think it's really that kind of independence we're looking for, and it's also what I think will be the best way to bring out the best work.
If they create it like for a client and somebody pays them for that, or if they create it for themselves. But like ownership is a very important topic, and it is not talked enough about, and it's not discussed enough, like because there is like a lot of, like, let's say, adjacent industry. Like, for example, if we look at the visual effects industry, right, which is struggling for a good decade now, like after a good high, they're back and struggling a lot. And ownership is at the core of that problem, because like they are just pure executing the work they are doing. They are making all the movie magic happen, right? All big blockbusters from the last 30 years depend heavily on visual effect. But the companies, the artists creating it, they own nothing of that work, right? And this is like a fundamental flaw in that whole business model. And I think we should talk a lot about that. And we are definitely like, this is one of the things we are and will change for ourselves. And hopefully we can inspire a couple of others with that.
Many like true artists, they hate stuff like that, right? So like, you know, thinking about legal stuff, taxes, whatever. But I think it's totally worth it to kind of get a grip on it, even if you start on a small scale, right? You have to kind of defend your work and not just like give it all away. And I think as soon as you have entered that path, it'll like become easier over time to you know, make people understand why you can't just like sell your stuff pretty much, right?
It is a complicated topic in terms of like there's different like legal situations out there, right? It's completely different in Europe than it is in the States. So it is a multi-layered topic. But I think the first thing that it does like is just, okay, educate yourself on the rights topic. Coming back to the beginning of the conversation, if you really express if you express your creativity for yourself, the people who want to pay you for your work, they will come for your style, right? And they can only get it with you because it's your creative expression. And if you are in a position where they come to you for that, then you have a very good perspective of negotiating that the rights belong to you in the end, right? So I would always start there, like awareness is the starting here, that there is another world where this is absolutely possible.
So art shouldn't be a service.
Exactly. That's a very good simplified way of saying it.